All right, this is kind of going to be a botched rant, but I just wanted to talk about just the terrible, terrible translations that Crunchyroll's been putting out for Lord of the Mysteries. I mean, like, this has been happening for a while. This isn't a new topic, but after watching the last episode, it is actually just sad that fan translations that have come out for the leaks were just better than the official release by Crunchyroll. Like, it is insane to me how bad these translations are at times, man. I'm going to be talking about most of the ones that I just want to talk about. Most of them will be about episode 13. So if you have not seen episode 13, please do not go into that section of this video. I'll be telling you guys when I do. So there will be a spoiler warning, I guess, because some of the stuff that is translated poorly does pertain to important topics that happen in episode 13. Um, anyways, so we can't really talk about the bad translations without talking about the first couple episodes. I mean, like, they didn't even do the luck enhancement ritual correctly. They just put celestial worthy 4 times. Like, they didn't even put like exalted thearch of heaven and earth. Like, they didn't put none of that. They just put celestial worthy, and that is just beyond lazy. Um, of course, people were saying that they thought that the subtitles were AI, or just some kind of like automated subtitles, which it honestly really did feel like they were, because they were really bad. So supposedly they hired a new person to do the subtitles, and I mean, for the most part they did an okay job, but some of these are just so bad that like it boggles the mind how this can even be put out. Like, if you just read the book, none of these errors should be taking place. Anyways, okay, so Celestial Worthy, that was like a pretty bad one, and then another super bad one was when they didn't include the numbers of sequences, and they also put Melissa in the wrong school. Like, how do you even get that stuff wrong? That's still like the first like the first episode. Same thing with audience. They called the spectator pathway the audience pathway, which makes literally zero sense. That's not what it's called. Like, literally 1 minute, not even a minute of research will tell you that's not what it's called. Um, and okay, moving away from the first 2 episodes though, you have the fourth epoch was destroyed by the Evernight Goddess. That is just like, how, like, how do you even put that in the show, bruh? Like, the the correct translation is the Antigonus family was destroyed by the Evernight Goddess in the fourth epoch. Like, that's not even close to what they said. They said, like, yeah, the Evernight Goddess can destroy time periods, is what people who did not read got from that. They had to be told by other people that it was a mistranslation, like, just completely ruining the emotion, not even emotional, just like the impact of that fact of knowing that the Antigonus family, who we've been told about, was destroyed by the Evernight Goddess. So moving on from that, you cannot forget Pleasure Madam. Okay, like, it's so bad. Like, Demoness of Pleasure, or just Pleasure. You don't have to, like, why in the hell is it called Pleasure Madam, bruh? I mean, like, it might have been like a typesetting error where they had Pleasure Madam and then under that just said Sharon. So it could have been Pleasure Sequence 6 Pleasure and then Madam Sharon, which would have made a lot more sense. But the typesetting was wrong, so a lot of people just read, they're like, Pleasure Madam, what the hell? It's like, that is just stupid. I mean, come on. All right, so now I'm going to be talking about episode 13, which to me, I watched as soon as it came out, and it was something, man. Like, there were so many errors that I actually had to keep pausing just to, like, just make sure I wasn't like dreaming or something. I wasn't in a nightmare. Like, Dunn didn't get me or something. I mean, I don't know. So spoilers going ahead for episode 13. So if you've not seen episode 13, please do not progress, because a lot of the stuff that is in here contains major spoilers for the end of Lord of the Mysteries season 1. Okay. First off, episode 13 is called The Clown, which is not the name of the episode. The episode is supposed to be called Light, and you will find that out in the first 3 minutes of watching the show, because it literally tells you in the subtitles that it is called Light. And then you press the escape button and see, no, that Crunchyroll has aptly named it The Clown, which is not what the title is. It is the little subtitle that's underneath it. So I don't know how they managed to mess that up. Another thing that they've done quite a bit in this show is combining two sentences into one sentence for literally no reason. This happens in episode 13 when Roseanne is talking about how she, despite hating that people become Beyonders in general because I'm pretty sure her father died and he was a Beyonder, um, she admires the Nighthawks, which she says, during that scene outside of Blackthorn Security Company. And this dialogue is literally two sentences in Chinese. It like they should just separate it out and not have it as one sentence. But for some reason they've combined it in one sentence and it makes the sentence just sound kind of awkward. Which like they don't need to do that. You do not like just separate the subtitle out. That like why do you need to combine it into one sentence? It just sounds weird. It makes no sense because she's talking and you can hear her pause and then start a second sentence, but the subtitle does not change. So it's just odd. And then this might be, I mean, in my opinion, it's the most egregious one, but it's because to me it just bothers me. Is Dunn's classic line, "We saved Tenjin," is "we have saved Tenjin," which just sounds a lot worse. That's not what he says in the book. I know it's a very minor thing, but that's like his iconic line, bro. Like that's like the thing like that you remember him for after reading the end of this first volume. Like he does not say, like you don't have to add the word "have." Just "we saved Tenjin." That's it. You don't need to change that. Just like, come on, man. They call the sleepless pathway or darkness pathway, they call it the Evernight pathway, which that's fine because that is an alias, like a different name that you can call the sleepless pathway or darkness pathway, but like they have not called it that a single time in the anime. So I feel like people are just going to be confused by it and not understand that Evernight pathway is the same thing as sleepless pathway. So like just call it sleepless. Like why do you need to call it or either that or darkness? Like just you do not need to call it Evernight because they've not even called it that once in the show. I guess the same thing for Corpse Collector and Death Pathway too, because they do call Corpse Collector Death Pathway in that scene with In Sangmo becoming a sequence 4. And another part from that is that they said he turned into a half human, half god. Just call him a demigod. Like that is literally what it says in the book. And it also is what it says in the other translation, just like, or in the fan translation or whatever. I don't know if it's the other streaming service translation or whatever. I'm pretty sure it's not, but anyways, like just call it demigod. You do not need to say he turned into a half human, half god. It just sounds stupid, okay? That's not what it says in the book. Just simplify it. Demigod sounds 20 times better. Just there you go. And then this is probably the actual worst one, besides my own feelings on what the actual worst ones are, which are, we have saved Tenjin and just naming the episode wrong, which is just stupid. If you play this episode in full screen, at least as of right now, as of making this video, if you play the last episode in full screen, if you go to the part where Leonard is inside the destroyed Blackthorn Security Company with the tombstones, it has the text, it has the English translations for what it says underneath the Chinese, which is what it should be. It does it for one of them, and then the other tombstone, it is meshed in with the Chinese, so you cannot even read it. It's like glitching in and out. I don't know how that typesetting even happened. It does not happen if it is not full screen, but if you do have it full screen, which you probably should, because if you're watching on your computer, why would you be having it minimized? Like, why is that an error? Like, how did that even happen? That just is just stupid. And then for the last part of episode 13, I'm only just recounting the ones that I can remember seeing. There's probably other ones that that are not as bad, that I don't really care about, or just ones that I don't think are important enough to talk about. But when Klein is in the gray fog at the end of the episode, like there's a bunch of stuff that is talked about, like with 0-08 and his divination for the future of where he should go. So he describes 0-08 as, this is the Crunchyroll translation, it turns the written word into reality, which like just say written words, or it turns written words into reality, or just the phrasing just sounds wrong. It sounds like somebody just like that's just a straight Google Translate, translation. Just like I don't know how they just don't just copy what it says in the book, or just make it sound more like human. Like what it says in the book is that its function is to write down events that are bound to happen. That is not very complex, and it is not very much longer than what they actually put in the subtitles. It makes way more sense, and it is not like, I mean, I'm not saying that the first one is cryptic. I'm just saying it just sounds weird, and they shouldn't have even put it in the show. And okay, this is the last one that I'm going to talk about for now. I'm not going to make a part 2 of this video. I lied. So this is the last one I'm going to talk about of this little rant. He's divining Lanavis's location and Zangwill's location, and where he can become more powerful is basically what he does at the end. But for some reason, the original is opportunities of becoming powerful. Like, where can he become more powerful? And that makes sense. But in the subtitle, it says, my desire to become strong, which does not suggest location or anything like that. It's not like where like an opportunity, like where can I, find an opportunity to become like stronger? No, just my desire to become strong. That is not what he says in the book. It's not, that's nothing. That doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, maybe it would make more sense if, like, where would my desire to become strong happen or come to fruition? Like, where would that, where would that take place? Like, they just, how? Like, my main question to Crunchyroll is, how have you guys messed up almost every episode on these damn subtitles? It is really not that hard. You have source material that tells you what is being said. I understand that in the anime, not everything is translated one-to-one, and events do play out differently in the show, which is fine. But, like, for the most part, almost every single thing that I've mentioned here is literally from the book that they could have just looked at and then been like, okay, that's what it's supposed to be saying. Maybe if we don't want to say it the exact same way, we can kind of, revise it and change some words around, synonyms, whatever, and make it at least sound the same. But they don't. They just make it some random shit that makes no sense. I just am seriously at a loss for words. Like, for me, I already saw the episode before it came out on Crunchyroll, so I wasn't really that upset because my experience watching it was not ruined. And that's also in part because I actually know, I've already read Volume 1, so I know what it's supposed to say. But the upsetting part is that people who have not read it will either not understand what it's trying to say, or they'll be misled into thinking something else, or they will just not understand anything. So it's just like, things that are easily avoidable and easily just like, you guys have a full week. I'm sure they get the episodes way in advance too, because the last 3 episodes came out all at once in China. Like, you guys have probably already seen the episodes, so it should not take a ton of time to know what it should say. I mean, like, you guys have time for this, and you also have source material, like I said. Anyways, whatever. I'm done talking. That's just my 2 cents on this whole fiasco that has been going on with the subtitles. It's so, like, frustrating, and it's just stuff that just shouldn't happen. So, anyways, that's about it. Bye.